Hi, my name is Michelle Grant, and I would like to welcome you to the Business Travel 360 podcast, In Conversation With, where we speak with travel industry movers and shakers that are transforming business travel. This podcast is designed so that you can gain insights into the company they represent and learn how they are capitalizing on the future of travel. In this episode, we have the privilege of speaking with Susan Lichtenstein, the Vice President of Sales at HQ Mobility and the founder of TAMS. Susan is a respected thought leader and connector in the travel industry, known for innovative approach and her passion for transforming how we move, meet, and build authentic communities across the industry. Welcome, Susan, to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, looking forward to this conversation with you. Today, we're going to talk about so much, but before we jump into that, would you share with our audience how you ended up in this crazy industry called travel? Tell us a little bit about your journey.
I think, like many people, I ended up by accident. So my career didn't start that way. My career started in the world of finance. I was working for Chase as a broker, got some of my licenses done, and then I was moving out of the city, actually, and a friend of mine told me about a company who was trying to put together an online booking tool way before the standard online booking tools we know today, with a company called Prodigy. I was really fascinated by where technology was going and went over there to talk to them about it and never left since. That's how I got into travel.
I have to say, I didn't end up in travel by accident. Way back in the day, there was actually a travel course in a college where I lived. I purposely chose this industry. It's interesting, fun, exciting, always something different. Shifting gears, I'd love to spend some time talking about TAMS. TAMS was the community that really brought you and I together. Curious to know what inspired you to create TAMS. Was there a light bulb moment?
I think it was more of a necessity for people to talk to each other. I was in Europe a few days before the shutdown at the BTN event, actually. I was listening to some pilots talk to their staff at the front desk, and they said, we're shutting everything down tomorrow. And I didn't go back to the BTN event. I went right to the airport. Caught the last flight out of the day, realizing, oops, that doesn't sound good. Came back home, and 2 days later, the shutdown happened. I saw a lot of LinkedIn posts, and I realized people were panicking. Their jobs were on the line. The business was on the line. People were dying from an illness nobody knew was about. I mean, it was just complete chaos happening in the world. I was looking at everybody kind of posting stuff about this will last a day, this will last a week. And I am in no way medically able to quote or post about anything medical online. But I did see in our business, it came to a stop, a complete stop. We have had a pause in our business many times. Ash clouds, plane crashes, weather-related issues, technology breakdowns, but we've never had a complete stop until COVID. And so I was talking to my family in the kitchen, and I said, boy, it'd be really good if we finally got together and talked to each other, no matter who we work for or what we do, because it really was affecting everybody. And we as an industry in the past, and still today, even when I go to other events, we separate the buyers and suppliers a lot, and we're just people, same brains, same ideas, just people. And that's always been so frustrating to me in the industry. And I've been a buyer for a long time. I've been on the supplier side. Just don't know why that happens, but it does. In almost every event except TAMS. I went out and posted, hey, does anybody want to get together and chat about what's going on? Just chat. I didn't know what to do. Nobody knew what to do. I said, maybe 5 people I know will want to get together, and we'll just get some of the stress out in the open. And the next morning, there were 10,189 people who wanted to chat with me.
And I was one of those 10,000.
You were one of those, thank goodness. And that's how TAMS got started.
So what was some of the first things that happened back then in 2020?
So, of course, we were all in the same situation. There's something to be said for standing together. At this point, I think we're like 5-6 days into the closure now, maybe a week. And everybody was losing their jobs. Budgets were being cut all over companies. It wasn't just travel that shut down. It was restaurants. It was anything to do with hospitality shut down. Everything else was focused on finding some way to live through this illness. People were terrified. I was terrified. And we said, what can we do to help the industry take a deep breath, keep people together, even though they were losing their job? How do we keep talking to each other? And so we decided, let's bring in some outsiders from the industry. Let's figure out what we're good at and give it back to the industry. And so we met a couple of times as a bigger group, and then the group got a little smaller, and we came together and said, let's learn what's happening now to the industry, what's going to happen when it's over, and then what should we do in the future should this happen to us again. The enthusiasm was so strong to do this together. We immediately realized that stripes and titles don't matter. All voices matter, and that we were better together. And boom, the tagline was born, better together. I think we took a really, 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 really bad situation and did the best that we could to it. And the result was phenomenal. People in Australia called us and asked us to come talk about our playbook. And people from all over the world asked us to talk about, how we did it. And I think it was just as fascinating to talk about what we did and how we did it. But a lot of people wanted to talk about, what happened when we came together. How did we move something so quickly as one? So TAMS is now Travel and Meeting Society. We're a little different than a standard association, where we are very project focused and we don't separate anybody from anybody at any time. Everybody has equal footing in TAMS.
So TAMS is known for being inclusive, collaborative, and just a little bit sassy.
It's the Brooklyn part.
That's where you come in. From your perspective, can you share some of the biggest wins or proudest moments for TAMS so far when they became a society or an association?
The most welcoming thing at first was, hey, we want to keep going. We love this. Let's keep building this together. We don't compete with anybody. We have our own special brand. And I thought, boy, people want to talk to each other. That's why they want to keep going, right? It's not like, oh, we need one more thing here, one more thing there. People want to talk to each other. Look at every conference in the industry today. Suppliers pay 3 times the amount of money that a buyer. There are buyer meetings in every conference, buyer meetings only. Yet the suppliers are the ones that have the booths or the tabletops or whatever. That separation really hurts us. It doesn't help us. We're all thinking together. So that really warmed my heart and gave me hope for the industry as a whole. And then we just joined and we formed 12 committees at first. 12 people wanted to do things. And we ended up with a diversity committee, a sustainability committee, an innovation committee. We had the first ever incubator where we took startups and travel from around the world and put them through a process. And at the end of the process, they presented to investors. And every one of those companies got something out of it, whether they were merged with another company or they got financed or they became partners with another company. It was thrilling to see that sporting startups in our business, because, that's a hard thing to do. All of those committees were producing something phenomenal in a project, and everybody's welcome to join at any time for as much or as little time as they want to do a project to move forward. And then it changed again. And then we had our first conference called Ignite. And that conference had its first immersive session. Instead of a standard stand on stage and tell people what you're thinking, we actually brought people into 5 different rooms to touch and feel what they were talking about with different people from different groups in each one of those rooms. So it could have been something like distribution, expense management, but different than anything they've ever seen before, where they can actually feel it, touch it, be part of it, be immersed in the experience. And that went over tremendous with the industry.
Maybe we could talk a little bit more about TAMS Ignite. I understand it's in Boston this year.
Boston,
next year,
Harvard, baby. Yeah. I don't know if Harvard's ready for me, but here I come. We're going to be at the Harvard Treehouse the first day. It's their new innovation center.
You touched a little bit on how TAMS Ignite is different than other industry conferences. Mm-hmm. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that? What makes Ignite experience different? What do you hope attendees walk away with personally and professionally?
A lot of conferences, you get thrown a lot of information, but never really something you tangibly take home with you most of the time, right? You get a lot of numbers, a lot of stats, and then you get home and you're like, okay, now what do I do with it? TAMS gives you an immersive experience. So when you leave that conversation or that presentation or that immersive experience, you know what to do when you get home. Our goal is not to boil oceans. Our goal is to give you something tangible that you can take back to your company, to your boss, and make magic happen. You'll be able to not only hear what we did, but see what we did and what we built. But you'll be able to then go into these immersive sessions and understand what we did and how we did it and go back and do it yourself in your world.
Let's talk about HQ mobility. For those who aren't familiar, what exactly is HQ mobility? How does it fit into the larger travel ecosystem?
HQ is a ground transportation platform. So what does that mean? So normally you have ground transportation, you have a ton of suppliers involved, and you're figuring out who to use, when to use them, when to use a shared service, when to use Curb. But you don't have one platform that you could just click and go and pick the thing that you want to use at your fingertips. That's making good decisions for you. And it's a platform. There's no GDS involved. Fits seamlessly into anything you're using today, from your online booking tool to your TMC. So basically how it works with HQ is a company signs up with HQ. We build them a site, either directly or through their TMC account or their OBT, and your preferences are already in there. It's a fully personalized experience. You could literally just type in our AI section and say where you want to go. You can voice control it and it knows who you are. Whatever makes it simpler for you. You can book the car, whether it's a shared service or a Curb or a black car or a supercar or meeting and event coaches and buses and vans. I mean, you name it. If it moves on the ground, we have it. And we have it in over 1,000 cities. We're in 6 continents, hundreds of countries. But what's critical to know is that we vet every supplier. So it's not a Google search. You come into our company and you use an HQ Connect Network supplier and they get vetted, and nobody gets into our system unless they've been checked and rechecked. And then we continue to check them. It's one of our largest teams so that your travel is safe. We're fully integrated with ISOS, so we know where you are at all times. We're tracking every ride. We're saving you up 20% in your program because we do a lot of rides. But what makes it fantastic, the technology is phenomenal. And we just launched our AI enhancements into our product. And every month we launch new AI enhancements. So I always tell people that when you want to put AI into your program, start with the ground up. That's us. And I can't wait to see where we go next in the business.
I'm not surprised you ended up a company like this based on your earlier comments about how you got into the industry, referencing technology and how you're just so intrigued by it. One question about ground transportation. Do you believe this is a missed opportunity in many programs still today?
That's a great question. So ground transportation is 5 to 7% of your travel program. Obviously, the larger company you are, the more. It is completely not managed at all in most companies. And so when you do that, you don't get a chance to have your spend come together and reduce that spend across your company. That's a big spend, 5 to 7%. Importantly enough, once you put it together on one platform and let us manage it for you, including your meeting and events. I mean, meeting and event teams, we're very popular with them. I didn't realize when I was managing meeting events in my company, how difficult it was to get ground transportation in, let's say, Vietnam, or if you live in the US in London, or if you live in London in the US, who's going to manage that for you? That's a big deal, whether it's from a Sprinter van to 15 coach buses. To have another company that you can click a button, make that order, and they take care of it for you, soup to nuts, is such a relief to the meeting and event world. So that's a pretty popular thing of ours, to be able to land anywhere you want in the world and open your mobile app and click on it, and it knows where you're standing and you order what you want. It knows where you are. That's fantastic. Mm-hmm. It's not just to the airport and to the hotel and the hotel back to the airport. There's 8 times you need ground transportation when you travel on average. So to have one app to manage all 8 times is incredible. And then have somebody, have your back on that entire trip. It's a very, very lucrative opportunity for companies. It's a low-hanging fruit for companies, being able to wrap your hands around something and go back to your boss and say, hey, this 20% hard dollar savings. Hey, we put our hands around this. Hey, here's your carbon emission report. That's a pretty big win for travel leaders.
Let's talk about the industry. I know you always have an opinion on things. I'd like to get your thoughts on Amex GPT and Concur with the launch of Complete. How do you see this playing out?
It's a good question. So Complete sounds strange to me. We live in an AI world now. Why would I want something complete? I want something that has an open portal for me that I can keep growing my program. I want technology that says, hey, today's Tuesday, my company's going left. What can I do with my program today to turn it left? I want to affect revenue and sales in my company. I don't want to just book tickets anymore. I don't need to. Booking tickets is easy. I don't want to talk about NDC anymore. I don't need to. There's so many channels I can book tickets with. I truly believe you own the payment, you own the program, and payments changing, right? From Black Skies of the world to direct payments. So when I heard the word complete, I was like, oops. So we're going from a box to a bigger box to a bigger box. And it scares me a little. I don't know. I might have called it something like fluid. But the word complete scares me, in all honesty, because it just sounds like we're building a bigger box and we need to stop building boxes and start building gateways and pathways and marketplaces and journeys. And that may be what they're doing. I just think the branding of complete is not great. We're going to see the Spotnanas and the Black Skies and those guys kind of gain some speed with some of the customers who don't want to be complete. It shouldn't matter what size you are. Listen, large companies didn't start large. And if you build a system that's fluid, if you build a system with open pathways, and I also think that Amex GBT is so great at management. You know, I used them when I was running a program. I used them. I thought to this day, I'll say they had some of the best operations teams I've ever seen in my life. But why do I want to lock myself into one? I want to have swim lanes for everybody, but they made a different decision. They're very smart people who build GBT. So let's see where it goes.
On that note, what in the industry makes you go, finally, yes, something different, something new?
I love the new technologies that are coming out. I think there's a bit of surprise on both sides of what people see as possible. And on their side, oops, we need to step up more than we thought, right? But I think what makes me go, it's about time. And one thing I've been trying to talk about at different chapter meetings at different places recently when people have been inviting me is this is where we are. This is where we need to be and what we could be, not where we need to be, where we could be, like the magic I'm talking about. And this is the part in the middle that we need to kind of get through to get there, right? Don't boil the ocean. Take a small project, figure it out. Throw the cool stuff on it, see what happens, and keep building on it, right? Go back inside your companies, find out what they're doing. Every company's doing something. And when I say yay, and I see companies that are starting to do that, you know, I think there's a whole bunch of leaders out there that are really doing some cool stuff, right? A whole bunch of companies like Pricewaterhouse and Deloitte and, you know, and those bigger companies. And now I'm seeing some of the smaller companies really stepping up to the plate and having the freedom to do that, which is great. By the way, if you're a small and mid-sized company, go first. You're much more flexible than the big companies. Go first. We need the bridge, right? Somebody to help you build that bridge and start walking over that bridge together, right? And that's what I've been talking about a lot. And it's really seeing a lot of heads nodding. And so that's what I say, oh, finally, people are starting to understand. Like, we're not asking you to boil the ocean out there, but guys, it's been 27 years since we've made any real change in our programs and our industry. And trust me when I tell you, they will bring in people that understand this technology inside of your companies or outside of your companies and move this transaction along much faster than we're moving it along. So when Delta says they want to use AI for pricing, go Delta, go. Just execute it differently. When American Airlines wants to do something, execute it well. That's the piece that we need to make sure we're having. When companies out there are talking about AI and what they're doing, pay attention. Because you could start with a small project and they're doing the work for you. That's exciting. And there's so many great companies out there, mine included. We have such great AI. My mind is blown by what we offer. So get out there. Let's go build this thing together. We can take 27 weeks now to move the industry forward instead of 27 years together. Let's do it together.
Love that. Well, before I let you go, I have a 5 this or that rapid fire for you. Are you ready? MLB or NFL?
Oh, NFL.
Come on. Okay, I'll give you that.
You haven't seen my office. It's a New York Giants office.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Taylor Swift or James Taylor?
Both.
Oh, awesome. Ocean or mountains?
Ocean.
Morning person or night owl?
Morning.
Well, again, Susan, as we wrap this up, I really would like to thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you taking time, sharing your knowledge and your insights and your thoughts. I look forward to seeing you in Boston.
Thank you for having me. These kind of podcasts are getting better and better. I love them as well. And, you know, it's exciting to keep hearing different voices so easily accessible to us all. So thanks, guys.